Hello, Mary Mead. So I want to review a book. The book I want to review is Wicca Moon Magic, a Wiccan's Guide and Grimoire for Working Magic with Lunar Energies by Lisa Chamberlain. There's a whole series of books that this author has written, which is basically Wicca 101 series. So instead of having basically it all in one big book, there's a lot of these little ones, and they're not very expensive. I think it's under $10 per book usually. And I was bored yesterday, so I sat and read this book. And I mean, it's pretty good. A lot of this information, if you have been pagan, especially if you've been Neo Pagan for a while, you will know it. But at the same time, it did give me a couple of ideas I didn't have, and it was nice to basically just refresh all of this. So yeah, the book is pretty well written. The information is well structured, so it's pretty easy to learn from it, because some books are the information is all over the place. This is very nice and structured. The grimoire part is not very big. It's 4 rituals or so. And the rituals are pretty simple, but they aren't bad. It's a daily devotional to the moon. That one's pretty nice. I might start doing it. It seems like my earring is trying to escape. You shall not escape. It doesn't seem to want to stay in my ear. I really actually hate this post-back thing for these earrings here. I think I might take the pearls off and just go with the giant safety pin. But regardless, distractions. Basically, it's devotional. It's a general moon fulfillment wish thing that you just have slight changes of, but depending on the phase of the moon. There's a couple of other rituals in here. Let me see. It's a daily devotional 4 quarters moon spell series, which is the one I just talked about. There's a blue moon good luck charm, which is quite interesting. And a lunar paper eclipse spell, which is really, really nice. It's a pretty nice spell. Simple, but nice. And then there are some recipes for magical oil blends for lunar occasions and a full moon ritual bath salts. And the charging tools with lunar energy. That's all of the ritual works in there, so I wouldn't really call this a grimoire. Most of it is just basically it's moon lore. Ideas for how to use the various moon phases with magic. And it basically goes through all of them from the dark moon, new moon, first quarter crescent moon, half moon, gibbous moon, full moon, waning gibbous moon, waning half moon, waning crescent, and basically goes through all of these phases. It discusses using the moon together with astrology. Basically, several ways to use those systems together. And it's all kept very nice and simple. So I think that this can be a very nice book, especially for beginners, but also for people who has been practiced a while. There are some good information here, though you will know most of it. There are some basically tips and tricks that are useful for people. I mean, I found some information here useful, and I've been practicing witchcraft for quite some time. So, yes, here's the contents. We have an introduction, self-explanatory. We have section 1, the magical moon. Then we have Night Guide to the Ancients, the 21st century moon, origins and orbit, the body and the psyche. It basically goes through the scientific parts of it, basically. Then we have the Wiccan moon, we have the triple goddess, the maiden, the mother, the crone, Espads, drawing down the moon, the witch, the moon, and the stars, and diving deeper, which this is basically the basic Wiccan ideas. The only thing I don't like here is that she presents a lot, for example, drawing down the moon as part of the basic origins of Wicca. It isn't. It was introduced somewhat later in Wiccan history. It was not part of Gardner's ideas, but still, it's fair enough. Then you have section 2, Rhythms of the Moon. We have lunar energy and magic, tracking the moon, light and shadow, measuring time, magical timing in the lunar cycle, seasons and Sabbats, aligning with growth cycles. This basically goes with how you could, what sort of magic you would do in the various moon cycles if you want to work with it. For example, if you want to attract love to you, you would do it when the moon is rising. Basically then goes into details about the various moon phases, but what would be best for what sort of magic, how you can do this, sew this together to an entire one. So for example, during the entirety of the when the moon is growing, you would cast magic to attract wealth to you, for example. And then when the moon is sinking, you would banish poverty and poverty thought. This book do link up with the law of attraction a lot. She's clearly a great fan of that. And I believe she has written a book about Wiccan magic combined with the law of attraction. So just putting that out there, that's a big part of it. Anyway, let's just see. Then we have Susan says, but basically it also goes into basically the S-bats and how they might be celebrated differently depending on what season they're in. Then we have putting it all together, the lunar phases, the new moon, waxing crescents, waxing half to full, full moon, full to waning half, waning crescent, dark moon. Charting your own course, working for larger goals over several cycles, getting creative with timing, blue moons and lunar eclipses, blue moons, lunar eclipses, and endless possibilities. It basically is more about what the various moon phases stand for, how to use it in magic, how to tie it together. And I do like that. It's very undogmatic. I really like this approach that basically, let's say that particular moon cycle, in that particular, and the moon is in that particular astrological sign and so on and so forth, would be perfect for the magical working you want to do. But she also gives ideas for how to adjust that. So that basically to whatever situations you're in, and also says that basically do it as good as you can, but magic needs to be practical. So if you happen to need to do healing work when the absolute isn't the time for it, then just do it. Basically, doing it in the right moon phases adds to your spells. It doesn't mean that you can't cast magic when it isn't advantageous. And she discusses various types of lore and various types of looking at these things, because it's just not just one way. Then we have section 3, a lunar grimoire. We have miscellaneous moon magic, and then we have the rituals I went through. Then we have tables of correspondences, which can be quite useful. You have zodiac signs and magical purposes, seasonal associations and magical purposes, spell ingredients, associated with the moon, rising and setting times of the moon, and then you have a conclusion, a suggestion for further reading, and other books by Lisa Chamberlain. So yeah, I mean, it's not highly advanced magic, everything is pretty simple. There are some errors, like I said, the idea that drawing down the moon was a big part of Gardner's work. It wasn't. He did work with the moon, absolutely, but he didn't have that ritual, that idea of it. There's a lot of the things that we today believe were part of the origins of Wicca, which Gardner, which had no part in what Gardner made, and which is not part of traditional Wicca, and so on and so forth. But for the most part, it's very nicely researched. It's a simple book. It's a very quick read. It won't take you very long. I'm very happy with it. There's a lot of good information here, and I think that the people I would recommend this most to are the ones that have read 1 or 2 beginner books, and now they want to delve a little bit deeper into working with the moon, then this would be perfect. It's definitely aimed towards a beginner, though like I said, people who are more advanced can also find use in it, There's a lot of information in here that I of course already knew, but for a beginner who is just starting out, but who has read a couple of beginner books and now they want to go into specific topics of magic, then this could be great. So, because it goes into more detail than your beginner book usually do, because then you have one chapter on moon magic or something like that. But it doesn't overwhelm you with information. So yeah, I'll give this book 8 out of 10. It's a pretty damn good book. So yeah, that is my review of Wicca Moon Magic, A Wiccan's Guide and Grimoire for Working Magic with the Lunar Energies by Lisa Chamberlain. I hope you have enjoyed this review. Have a great day, and blessed be.